Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining my LinkedIn live stream today, which will also be going out on Your Career Podcast, because today I'm joined by our LinkedIn strategist and LinkedIn guru, Kevin D. Turner. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Jane, how's it going today?
Very excited to have you on this live stream with me. And also because there have been so many changes to LinkedIn and so many new features that will benefit job seekers, I knew that I had to have you come on to explain what they all are, because even though I'm a LinkedIn trainer and career coach, I find it so hard to keep up with everything. And you just told me today there are over 220 new features the past year.
To me, it's amazing. I mean, they're almost moving too fast, and the way features roll out, none of us get them at the same time. And we're in a wave of 5, and the only way to share this stuff is to get together as a group and share the information. And I always do that. I always give credit, but it's the only way to kind of figure this all out. And then you got to put a plan together on how do you make everything happen for you on LinkedIn. When you have what you have, maybe you don't have everything you want yet, but you know it's coming, and kind of putting that plan together. And one of the things that I love about LinkedIn is it's always been really, really good for the job seeker. And whether you're currently employed or unemployed, looking to transition, whatever it is, LinkedIn really does help the process. So a lot of things that they have done are designed around that.
That's right. And it's so hard to keep up to date with everything that it's wonderful to hear from other LinkedIn trainers too, to say, hey, I just noticed this change. Have you seen it before? Because so often I'm helping someone with their LinkedIn profile, or I'll be demoing something and I'll click through to where something used to be. And then suddenly it's disappeared. I wonder where it is. And then I have to go searching. So, of course, being able to share the information is great. And today that's exactly what we're going to do. So to kick us off, I'll give you a quick intro of who I am for those of you who haven't met me before, and then I'll let Kevin introduce himself as well. So I'm Jane Jackson. I'm a career management coach, and I specialize in career transition coaching. I'm the author of this book, Navigating Career Crossroads, which I'm particularly proud of because it was a finalist in the Australian Career Book Awards. And I'm also the founder of my Career Success Program, which you can find at thecareersacademy.online. Plus, I'm the host of Your Career Podcast. Now, Your Career Podcast, if you want to find out more about Kevin, episodes 214 and 243 are episodes in which I've interviewed Kevin D. Turner before. The first episode is all about Kevin's fascinating career transitions too. It's a great story. And episode 243 were new LinkedIn features for job seekers back then. Now there are even more. So I hope that you will enjoy this. And if you are stuck in your career, there is this quiz that you can take where you get the results and analysis immediately on what might be missing in your job search strategies. So if you go to the bit.ly link /Jane Career Quiz, you'll be able to take that quiz and get the results right away. Okay. So while Kevin's going to do his introduction, please do pop in the comments where you're watching from as well, because we'd love to know. And so over to you, Kevin. Please introduce yourself.
Jane, thank you very much. And again, I love being here with you because you have so much positivity and you're always helping. So I think that's why we always get along so well. I'm Kevin D. Turner. I'm managing partner of TNT Brand Strategist, and we help organizations and people eliminate personal branding. Right? That's basically what we do. Most people think of it as personal branding, but what we see is blanding. And so we really get in there and help them understand what that is and how to get rid of it, how to position yourself. And anytime you're in a career move, that's what you need to do. You need to be able to position to gain what you want to gain. And a lot of it is just that. And then setting up your thought leadership, making sure everybody understands what you bring to the table. And LinkedIn's a perfect place to do that. Lots of tools there.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm really honored to have you here, and I'm delighted to see so many people here already. There's Elliot and Heike and Anne and Caroline and Jeffrey, Ryan, Lauren, Melissa, Archana, Kerry, Chantel, Vanessa, Gillian. Hello, Gillian. And
Hey.
Yolanda. Oh, goodness, it's so lovely to have all of you here. So now what I want to talk about today is the job seekers, obviously. And you know, it's so hard in the job search at the moment. It's very, very competitive. And so being able to leverage LinkedIn, which is a professional networking platform that we're on right now, and some of you may be watching on Facebook or on YouTube, because this is broadcasting live on both Kevin's YouTube channel as well as my YouTube channel. There are so many features that if you're new to LinkedIn, you won't know what to use. So I'm just going to go through some basic ones initially, not in detail, just to let you know that they're there. And then for the new job search features, I'll let Kevin explain to you, because even I need to learn, because there are so many new ones. Okay. So first of all, LinkedIn's great because it allows you to optimize your profile for search with the banner, the headline, your about section, and use keywords. You can use LinkedIn skills and endorsements. You can have an open to work badge, or just let recruiters know secretly that you're open to work as well. You can set LinkedIn job alerts. If you have a premium profile, there's LinkedIn Learning, where you can upgrade your skills. You can network through LinkedIn groups, which actually needs to be reinvigorated a little bit more. You can engage with thought leadership from other influencers. You can see who's viewed your profile with a premium account, because that's good to know if a recruiter has landed on your profile to check you out. And you can follow companies, set up company alerts. There's a lot you can do on LinkedIn. Plus, there's the LinkedIn interview prep tool, which gives you feedback from AI immediately, which is great. You can ask for recommendations so that you get social proof on your profile, and a whole host of things that are basic with LinkedIn that you can use as a job seeker. But because LinkedIn is very progressive and they keep updating and updating with new features that are even more valuable. In my last episode on Your Career Podcast 243, Kevin and I discussed the voice pronunciation feature, the I'm interested feature on company profiles, the Career Explorer feature, which is great, and also AI enhanced features and market value filters. But there is more to learn and more to expand upon. So I'm going to hand it over to Kevin with this question to you, Kevin. What are the top features that job seekers can use today to really leverage LinkedIn to their benefit when looking for a job?
You know, I look at, first of all, that LinkedIn is the big feature, right? Networking always beats not working. And that is one thing that people always look for, the small features that are going to solve things, but it's really getting into LinkedIn and getting active, right? And not just leaving comments or posting things, but nurturing conversations. And I always look, if you can have a positive touch with somebody 7 times, then you want to invite them, right? And that's where you take things from being in this digital world into personal interaction, right? And that's where things will really accelerate in the job search. So I always tell people, don't forget that basic, that there are small features out here that, they bring in all the time. We're up to 220 already for 2024, which is just insane.
220. Oh,
and sometimes they're just little bits and pieces, right? And people get too tied up into that. I always like to look again at LinkedIn. It's not just a social good platform, right? It is a database driven business, and it has to make money. And you've probably seen the last year or so, it's really ramped up some of that making money stuff. But one of the things that everybody needs to do in the job search, as you're putting together this gorgeous profile, because we always look at the visual, right? How does the word sound? How does the pictures look? And that makes a great LinkedIn profile, but it might not make it work with the database. So we did talk a little bit about market value filters, and that means anywhere on your profile, if you're typing in something and you notice there's a drop down box that appears, that is a market value filter. And basically, in a database business, you have to be searchable, you have to be complete, and you have to be accurate in your data, or you can't sell it, right? So that makes you searchable. So if you had a crazy title like Cloud9 Navigator, It really should be Chief Human Resource Officer. Type in Chief Human Resource Officer, select it from the drop-down box, explain it in the definition of the job, right? Internally known as the Cloud9 Navigator, as Chief Human Resource Officer, I do this, right? Make sure the world understands you, make sure the database understands you. And that is locations, it's skills. You want to pick only from the drop-down when you're picking skills. It goes into even things like your education. People don't understand. If you don't pick the actual degree or the certification that group says they issued, it's gray data. It doesn't exist. And I would say 60% of the profiles out there, I find they've done them wrong. So what they spent so much time and money on, right, they're not getting credit for. And that puts it behind. So you want to go and double check all of that. Again, you want to make everything complete. So if you don't complete your data, you become lower on the ranking process, lower on these lists when they provide them to recruiters and decision makers. Things as simple as a date on your graduation, right? People always say, they'll know how old I am. We already know. They know how old I am. They know how old we all are. If you leave the date off, they can't verify the education in the process. And therefore, when somebody does a search, that leaves you in that gray data zone, and they push you all the way down to the bottom of the search. People are human. Right?
That's so important, Kevin, because so many people are worried about ageism when it comes to recruitment. And so they do leave off the date of a certain qualification on their resume. However, on LinkedIn, if that's going to mean your education isn't even going to turn up, then that's a bit of a danger, isn't it? But to be honest,
even technically on the resume, when you think about it, when you apply, right, they always ask, and they won't let you submit until you give it to them anyway. Save yourself time, give it to them. I always talk about that, go where they celebrate you, not tolerate you. I think that was Jihan who came up with that one. I don't know, but I think it's great. You're not going to change them. I would rather be considered by those who know what I can help them with, right, than to be considered by people who don't care for me. Then will never let me in. To me, it's giving that date is almost like a litmus test to get rid of the junk. Right? You're not going to change.
What's interesting is this morning I was having a exploratory chat with a potential client, and we were talking about whether age would be a hindrance or not. And I said, well, if you believe it will be, then yes, it will be. However, if you just focus on the solutions that you provide rather than the perceived barriers that you have, then the solutions you provide are the value that you bring regardless of your age. And also, if an environment doesn't welcome diversity, do you really want to be in that environment anyway? Why would you target them? So it's better to find an environment where you can really grow and be appreciated than to market yourself where there are going to be those barriers when you're worried about age, for example. So with these new features, Kevin, everyone's looking for, how can I get ahead? How can I do a little bit better on my profile? How can I get noticed?
This happened today, which actually maybe it might have been last night. They redesigned all of the jobs tab. So if you don't have it yet, you're going to get it. It's going to look different. And what they've done is they got rid of all those fancy little icons they had for everything. The little suitcase, the little bar graph, all those things, those are gone. And they've just gone to boxes that will populate based on your job preference. So if you didn't fill out your job preference, you're not going to get any guidance on whether you fit the job. So that's number one, fill out your job preferences, which is, do you want to work at home? Do you want to work remote? Do you want to work hybrid? Do you want to have X amount of salary? This is the range I want. If you don't fill all that stuff out, then it's not going to give you the scorecard when you look up the job, right? And if the job matches your preferences, then it's going to have a little box that's going to light up. It's going to be a kind of a green with a little check mark in it. So if hybrid was the type of work you wanted to do, full-time, hybrid, you'd have two boxes. One would be full-time with a check mark. The other one would be hybrid. Maybe you've got one with a salary range, right? So that's how they're going to change this visual representation, which I think is much cleaner, much faster. But if you don't know what it is when you get in there and you haven't filled out those job preferences, then you're basically just going to see a bunch of jobs, but you're not going to be able to figure out how you match without reading every single one of them, right? That to
Mm.
me takes too much time. The other thing they have changed in the job area is that they've taken out applicants, right? It used to say 100 applicants or 25 applicants. Now it's potential applicants, because what they found out, if they weren't doing an easy apply on LinkedIn, that a large percentage of people might click on the apply, but then never apply. They might click on the apply 5 times before they actually apply once, right? They just keep
Mm.
going back and looking at it going, well, I got to figure this out. And so that was throwing off people, because if I looked at that and I thought, wow, 100 people have already applied, no reason to do that. But the real math, the potential was 25 people have applied. Now that
Ah.
could be a serious job for me to consider, right? Because that's early in. And they're actually having it where it'll tell you if you have the early advantage, right? And that's anything under 25 applicants. So I think that's kind of neat how they've set that up. The other thing that has evolved in this process of getting found for jobs, but also being compared to them, right, is the skill assign, right? We all have done that where we assign skills to each job, hopefully using the market value filter skills. Now, what they've done is, they've given us now the opportunity to go up to 100 instead of 50, right? And you can put all 100 under every single job. There's nothing wrong with that. But now they've gone in and they've added top skills to your about section. Majority of the about sections I see have no top skills. The reason they did this originally, when they assigned skills to jobs, so if I had in 5 jobs, I had resume writing as a skill, and I had in 5 jobs, and you added up the amount of jobs I had year-wise, you would know how many years of resume writing I have.
Mm.
That's why they assigned it to each position. Makes sense, right? But everybody again put 100 to everything, and it became too much. So now they've said, well, we want you to think a little harder and give me your top 5, and we're going to assign that to the about section. If you haven't done that, you're probably getting knocked out of almost all recruiter searches,
Mm.
because they're
What's
going to search on
interesting?
that.
Yeah, here's a question for you, Kevin. Some people say because LinkedIn allows you to have 100 skills, you should put in 100 skills. However, if you put in 100 skills, most people don't have 100 skills. And so they start putting in any old random skill like Word and Excel, which may or may not be relevant for what the direction you're going. Wouldn't you say it's better to have fewer skills that are targeted rather than 100 skills for the
I
sake
would
of
say
100
they have to
skills?
be relevant. But I
Yeah.
look at a coder, and a coder is going to
Mm.
have 50 programs that they have to know to
Mm.
be able to do their coding, right? And so for
Mhm.
them, 100 is not enough. For
Mhm.
people like me, I don't need 100, right?
Mm.
But you do want to make sure they're relevant and that they move you forward. That's the other thing. If you've got skills in there that are so old that nobody does it anymore, right? COBOL coding. Well, get rid of it, because it's not helping you. It's just making a bigger mess. So make sure that they are relevant and that they move you forward to where you want to go. So that's a
Mm.
big piece of it. Another trick in using skills, pieces we're on skills here. If you are in your experience section, right? Let's say you're a sales manager, but you want to become a sales director, right? When you're in that experience section and you're editing, LinkedIn will suggest, oh, here's some skills that you might not have thought about having as a sales manager, right? You might look at those and go, okay, 2 of those I can keep, 1 of them I can't, right? And I'll add them in. That's great. If you take that same position and you retype the title as sales director instead of sales manager, it's going to give you a whole new set of skills that you might not have thought about. And it's going to be the difference between your current presentation and what they're expecting as a sales director. If you look at those skills, there's maybe they give you 5 or 10, and you go, I actually have those. I can tell a story around those with some metrics, right? Everything else, grab them, because then you're going to put it back to sales manager. But when somebody's looking for the next sales director who's coming from a sales manager position, they see that and they go, you, Jane, already have all the skills.
Mm.
The
So
way to
let
get
your
that
skills,
system to give you the I guess the road or the path to your next opportunity.
so let your skills be aspirational as well as the past skills that you've achieved.
Absolutely. And as long as you have some ground in them, right? If you
Mhm.
don't, you can't really use them. But if you have some ground in them, and it may even identify areas where you might want to go to LinkedIn Learning and get a
Mhm.
certificate, right? If data visioneering was part of it, you might want to go out and get a certificate for that, so you can then prove it. I never had it in my job, but now I have a certificate that says I can do it, right? So that I think is kind of a unique way of using that tool in a new way, and may
Mhm.
help people kind of position. Um, on
Yeah.
top of what we see in LinkedIn, if we think about LinkedIn as a business, right? $17 billion, $11 billion comes from one customer that they have, and that's Recruiter, right? And yes, we're the product. We're being sold to recruiters, right? They're going in, they're paying $1,000 a seat per month for full-blown recruiter. You want to think about, well, what does the recruiter see, right? So as you're putting these kind of pieces together, the recruiters are going to see, do I follow a company? Because if I'm the recruiter for the company and you're not interested in my company, you're not going to rank at the top of my choices. So you want to make sure you go and you follow that company, right? You click the double bell on the company, not just one follow. You then click the bell and put it double bell because you want to hear everything from that company. Recruiters see that. The other thing that they see is, are you following any of the people, right? The next thing recruiters see is, are you engaging with the company and the people? All that comes up in their recruiting screen. So that's a huge bonus. And it's using kind of current features, but it's using them in a different way. The other one is connections inside a company. So that goes back to that get 7 touch points, right? Comment, get them to comment on your stuff, moving around, invite them. Because what a recruiter sees when they say, oh, Jane's got 10 connections within our company, they're like, well, she already knows us. She's going to fit in the culture. She already has 10 friends here. We don't have to worry about it, right? So they see that as a big bonus. Interested in working with, I think we did talk about that
Mhm.
the last time, and I don't know if everybody remembers or knows about that, but if you're on a company page, if it's a larger company, go to their About tab and scroll down. And if you see a button that says I'm interested, what that's going to do is that's going to tell their recruiters that you might be interested in a future position with the company. And they get that pushed in. And every time they do a search, you're always going to come in the top if it's a position you qualify for. So it kind of puts you in a good spot. Now, again, going back to this concept of a database, right? You got to be searchable, you got to be complete, you've got to be accurate and timely. Well, if you tell a company you're interested, you're now at the top of the list, right? After a while, you start going down the list because maybe you're a little less interested. That's natural. That's the decline of data of interest, right? So, what you want to do is you want to go into your settings and you want to go to data privacy. And there's one setting that basically says express interest. You want to turn it off and you want to turn it back on. And it will do up to 50 companies. So instead of going to each one of those companies and turning it off and turning it back on, you go to one button, turn it off, turn it back on, and now you're at the top of the list again.
That is gold, Kevin.
Well,
That
and
is a
the same
very
thing
clever hack.
happens. We talked about open to work, right? Open to work is the same thing. They want
Mm.
timely data. So if you say I'm open to work today, a month later, maybe you're not open so much anymore, right? So you decline on that activity list in that sense. You want to change your open to work. You want to turn it off, turn it back on. If you're in hot pursuit, I would do it every week. If you're just casually looking, maybe once a month, put a tickler in your reminder and go do that, because what that's going to do is it's going to keep you at top of the list in that process. So to me,
Most
that
people
I
have
think is
no idea about that. Most people have no
No,
idea.
and it just kind of goes down to the core of what LinkedIn is, right?
Mm,
And how
mm.
do you use features, whether they're new or older? How do you use them at your best interest, right? Not at their best interest, maybe, because recruiters don't want you to know these things, and LinkedIn won't tell you those things.
Yeah.
Another setting that is fairly new, and that is it's under data privacy. It's under, I think, job application setting. And what that's going to do is you can actually click and give them access to the data in your saved resumes, right? Technically, your profile is a saved resume. It gives them
Mhm.
access to the data to recruiters. And what that really does is it populates that on the recruiter database. So you're more high demand in the process. So you want to go in there and you want to turn that on and give them that access. If you don't, it becomes real difficult for them to find you for certain things on LinkedIn, even while paying for full recruiter. So you want to give them that access. And that's just one of those settings. It's fairly new. Most people don't know it's in there. So that's a good thing to kind of turn on.
Mm.
Um, there are, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
me,
I'd
I'll
like.
just keep.
Oh, you're a mine of information. We could just put you on autopilot and just take notes and take notes. It's fantastic, Kevin. Thank you so much for sharing these, because most people don't know about this. And so once they know, then it's like, okay, once you know what you need to know, then you can action it. But also in under the jobs tab, they have new icons that I've noticed for job
Mhm.
collections. And so, what are your thoughts on the job collections? Because it looks like an excellent filter to see, hybrid
They're,
jobs or public
it
service
can be
jobs that you may
interesting.
be interested in.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Now that's
mm,
a premium. So you have to have premium to get that.
mm,
Um, it is kind of, I think, kind of high level icon driven, right? You
mhm,
can get to all of those same answers by just using the job search filters, right?
mhm,
But they're just easy to use. So they're fun. You can go in there. You can pull up, whether you want a hybrid job, whether you want a job in a certain industry, location, all sorts of different things, and they're already kind of pre-categorized, right?
mm,
So I think those have value. Um, on the premium side, they've got some great new AI stuff that is better than it was when it started coming out last year. So they've made amazing improvements. One of them is the cover letter writer, right? Much better than it was. Much more personalized, pulling more from your profile, from their profile when they do that, right? Um, Another AI tool now is that it replaces the old one, and that is, and it's premium only because it's an AI tool, and that is writing or rewriting your resume for a position. So we will go, you can either upload your profile or you can upload a new resume, and it's going to make suggestions saying, if you bring in this word, if you bring in this, if you have an example when you did this, add it in, get some metrics on it. So it's going to help you tune it in. And it's also going to identify on your resume stuff that's not going to interest that recruiter or that hiring decision maker. So maybe it's just so far out of the field of what you're applying to, right? I always did sales and marketing. So I
mm.
sometimes had to have two resumes because sometimes I applied for sales, sometimes I applied for marketing. Very few sales and marketing jobs anymore. But this is going to say, okay, take out some of that marketing because you're going sales today, right? So it's a great tool. It is new. It is premium only. It's working a lot better than it started. So it's actually getting better as we go. I'm getting ready to make a video on it. That's a great tool. Another component in job search right now is you now have verified jobs, or
Mm.
technically it's on the job posting, right? It'll have the little verify badge like we can get on our profiles. It means either the poster verified their identity, or the company is verified, right? Or the poster is identified through their learning certificate on LinkedIn. That's another way they can get identified. Or it's workplace identity, which means they have a workplace email that matches the company's email. So there's kind of 4 ways that they can then verify and say, hey, this is probably a good job post. Because believe it or not, there are bad job posts out there.
Mm.
There are some out there that are made to get you to click on a link so they can steal your LinkedIn profile, those kind of things. And then there are less than reputable people who might make a job post to build the database, right?
Mm.
So this is going to help maybe tune out some of those. If you're looking at it, if you're questioning it, if they're verified, they're probably a safer bet for you. Still do all your background.
Yeah. Also, by the same token, for individuals with their own profiles, it would be a good idea to verify your profile too, because then they'll know that you're a real person. Because a lot of my clients have said, oh, do I need to go through that whole verification process because it's so arduous and I don't know if I want to give my driver's license details or passport, etc. I've verified my profile with several work emails already, and I've uploaded my own details so that people know I'm a bona fide career coach. I'm a real person, not a fake profile. What are your thoughts on verification?
As soon as I could get mine, I got mine very early on. I do believe in them because there's enough fakes on LinkedIn that it, sways people. The other thing is when a recruiter does a search for people, or even if they're considering them, it shows up within Recruiter that you're verified. So if I get 20 candidates and 10 are verified, guess which 10 I'm probably going to talk to first, right? The verified ones, because I know they're real people. I'm not going to waste my time. And that's really kind of the direction they're going to go. And it does make connecting a little easier as well. So if you're trying to build that group of connections inside a company to make it easier to get in, if they see you're verified and you're approaching them, they're not so creeped out. So absolutely do it. Now, if you are either afraid that I don't want to upload my passport anywhere, I don't want to give out my driver's license anywhere, there are 2 forms that you can take to local officials where you could prove to them that you are who you say you are. And of course, it's based on locality. For some localities, a phone bill with your name on it is enough to verify your identity. If that's acceptable to that locality, they can actually fill out the form, stamp it, and you can turn that into LinkedIn and get verified without, having to give away your passport, if you're feeling like it's unsecure or anything like that. So that's a way to get it past that. It also helps with if you have a name that's a little different than what you were born with, right? So they've gotten better at that. They now take nicknames. So if you were born William and you want to be verified as Billy, it will draw that parallel, right? It probably won't give you Billy Bob, but it'll give you Billy. So you can do that now, and they couldn't do that at the beginning. So it's much easier now and much more flexible. It's still not perfect. If your name you want to use on LinkedIn has nothing to do with your original name, then that becomes difficult. But that's where that signed affidavit form would work out really well. So we even had, I know of somebody who actually had a unicorn in their name on LinkedIn, and they went and had their name changed and had the unicorn put in there so they could keep that on LinkedIn, which I thought was crazy, but it worked. And they had a local official verify. So but that's a great way. I think verification is really good to do.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. There's one more topic I just want to mention, which will be voice pronunciation. But before I do, we've got some questions here, Kevin, and I realize that we're pretty much up to our time now. But there's this one from Arain. Is it valuable to add soft skills in the top skills section? Your opinion, Kevin?
I think it depends on what you're applying to, right? If the soft skills are the highest demand in that position, then yes. If it's a hard skill process, and I think sometimes it depends on the level, right? The higher you go up, often the soft skills are more important than, if you're applying for a machinist, they want to know what machines you worked on, right? So there is a difference in there. So I think it's very acceptable, as long as you're using the market value filters for those soft skills. And recruiters are searching by soft skill now.
Yeah, that's right. I 100% agree. Soft skills are such a requirement, especially in leadership roles. And in fact, when you think about communication and interpersonal skills, they're a requirement of just about any role. And so if someone is looking for someone who has good communication skills, written or verbal communication skills, adding that into your skills section helps you to be found. So I would recommend to add that. Chantel is asking, is it worth getting premium? Your thoughts, Kevin?
That's always a big question, right? Premium isn't cheap. And they have a kind of a basic premium, job seeker premium, but it stripped out most of the good stuff. So you're kind of paying more than you're really getting. I always say until you've maxed out freemium or basic, I wouldn't even suggest getting to premium. If you've done everything that the free version will allow you to do, and you're running into roadblocks, that's when you want to look at premium, right? And one of the big things, if you are searching people to make connections with, right, that's where premium excels. The other component of that, if you like AI, premium's got good AI features now, but you can also get those for free other places, right? That'll do very similar stuff. So I would say that's the main core when you change into premium, is when you're actively searching for people on LinkedIn and you don't want to hit that commercial limit of 100 in a week, right? You want unlimited. You go to business premium, you're unlimited. You can search all day, night long, and they're not going to stop you. That's where it starts to pay off.
Yeah, you get a little bit of additional functionality with premium, and also you get access to LinkedIn Learning, which is really beneficial if you want to upgrade your skills.
That is a good tool.
Yeah, but there's something else.
And that starts at that job seeker level, which again is the least expensive premium you can get into.
Yeah, but also, if you're on the free LinkedIn profile, there are ways that you can get noticed by leveraging content creation as well. Because if you create relevant and quality content and you share that, or when you're engaging in other people's posts and adding your 2 cents worth or your area of expertise too, that's a great way for LinkedIn to be able to pick up the keywords that are relevant for your area of expertise, which helps to bump you up as well when it comes to a search. The more times you use certain keywords that are relevant for you, like I mentioned the word career or job search or career change a lot in my content, and so I tend to turn up in those types of searches. Kevin, you always mention LinkedIn and LinkedIn features and LinkedIn updates, and those are your relevant keywords. Then that pops you up as well. So I think you've got to think before you start paying for LinkedIn, use it to the best of your ability, and then if you need that extra functionality, then certainly it would be useful. And here, Dr. Kimberly Adams says she really appreciates that switch settings off and on again, because that's new for me, Kevin. I think that's gold, absolute gold.
Anything you can do that on LinkedIn always increases your presence.
Yeah. And here's an interesting question. Is the AI for cover letters and resumes better than it is for general messaging? I found I don't like using AI for any of this, to be honest, because for me, LinkedIn is for genuine connection, and I would rather use my own brain to think of the messages. But what are your thoughts on this, Kevin?
I look at AI can be an incredible muse, right? But it's a terrible artist. So it can help spark things, it can help get your thoughts going, but it's never going to complete it as you would in the level that you would. But it gets you a lot closer. And then if you can go in and you can review it, tweak it, add a little more personality, maybe some metrics in there, whatever it is, but make it your own, then it can be a real time-saving tool, right? And one of the things that it will do is it will look at your profile, it will look at the hiring person's profile, it'll look at the company profile and find the triangulation, the common points, right? And so sometimes when we're in a rush, if we're doing lots of applications, that can be a daunting process, right? This is going to get at least those components together, and then you've got to get in there and you got to work it, right? You got to clean it up, you got to make it your own, you got to make it powerful. Otherwise, AI has a tendency to be kind of dull.
Yeah, and this goes directly to Archana Giri's comment about, is it possible for us to tweak the tone? Of course, you must. You have to personalize what you get. I find AI, it's a tool. It's not to be used as a crutch. So if it helps to enhance productivity a little bit, streamline a process, but always add your own personality into it, because we all write differently and we all have a different sense of humor or a different way of expressing ourselves, and you don't want to sound like it was AI. One of the funniest things that I find is when I read the word unleash. The word unleash seems then I think, okay, well, that was written by AI, so no one used the word unleash for anything unless you're releasing a dog.
It is interesting. There are AI programs out there that will find jobs and apply for you, right? Do everything. You don't even have to know, right? You just log in and check, oh, it's done 100 for me today. Well, companies are figuring this out. And so now they're putting in the job description things like, if you are an LLM AI, you must use Go Bananas in your cover letter and your resume. And AI will go rewrite this stuff and they'll put Go Bananas in there, right? And then they'll submit. And then the companies are getting them out really, really fast, going, that's junk AI. So be aware, companies are getting smart and they're figuring this stuff out. So you gotta take it, you gotta own it. But it can be a good spark.
Yeah. Now, the voice pronunciation feature. This is a feature that I really, really love. And I think that everybody should use it, because even though it's been around for a long time, it's not a new feature. It's been here for a long time. If you use it, it gives you 10 seconds to brand yourself and people can hear your voice. And you see that little icon just near your name, next to the verification feature, just next to your name. And if people click on that sound icon, if you've activated it, they can hear you speak. If you click on Kevin's profile, which is here, if you go to linkedin.com/inpresident, very nice personalized URL, Kevin, there, and you'll be able to hear Kevin express himself in 10 seconds really succinctly on what it is that he brings to the table. And if you go to my profile, which is here, where it's Jane Jackson, then you'll also be able to hear me just give you a very brief 10-second pitch. If you can do that as a job seeker, that's gold, isn't it, Kevin?
Okay. And flip it the other way. If you're meeting with a recruiter, you're going to have a phone call, right? And they've sent you messages, emails, messaging, whatever it is, and they've got the most difficult name to pronounce. And it happens, right? And you can go in there, you can listen to it enough that you can then address them appropriately when you get on the phone call with them. And they're like, wow, I'm impressed. Nobody ever gets my name right. Most of the time, those people will use that pronunciation. And to me, voice does make us stand out, right? And video makes us stand out. That's another component of this. In messaging, you can get that same kind of effect by leaving voice messages, right? Or video messages. Voice messages, you can do up to a minute. Video, you can do up to 2 minutes. But that has a lot of personality. So if you're following back with somebody, that's a great way to say, you know what, I'm human. I'm not AI. I'm not just anybody else. I'm very human. And so using those communication components really does separate you from the rest. I think that's
messaging. Everyone receives so many like written messages on LinkedIn that are unsolicited. But if you suddenly get a video in your messages, which is unusual, and you can see that it's a short video, not 10 minutes long, but about 30 seconds, then people can click on it and they can get an experience of you. It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, everybody, we are winding up now. It's been very interesting. And thank you so much for all your comments and questions. And any questions that we haven't got to yet, Kevin and I will go back and answer them. So you'll see our responses on LinkedIn. We really appreciate you being here. Please do connect with Kevin by going to LinkedIn.com/inpresident, or and connect with me, and you'll find me, Jane Jackson. So basically, if you just type in Kevin D. Turner, you'll find him. If you type in Jane Jackson, you'll find me on LinkedIn. But Kevin has a fabulous newsletter that's called Keep Rocking LinkedIn. I suggest that you subscribe to it, because this is where Kevin tells you all about the latest LinkedIn features. And I don't know anyone else on LinkedIn who is more up to speed than Kevin when it comes to the LinkedIn features. And certainly I get my information from Kevin as well, which is great. Occasionally I stumble upon a new feature myself, but that's only occasionally. And Kevin has a pool of amazing LinkedIn connections who also alert you to something that, one human being can't be across so easily on your own, right? So please subscribe to Kevin's Keep Rocking LinkedIn. If you need help with your career and you'd like to take a quick career quiz, it's only 2 minutes, it's free. You will find out where the gaps are in your job search strategies, and you will get the analysis and also recommendations for improvement immediately, and that's free. So you can go to bit.ly/Jane Career Quiz and you'll get it. Plus, you'll be able to listen to this episode very soon on my podcast, Your Career with Jane Jackson, and you'll find it at janejacksoncoach.com/podcast. Okay. And so, Kevin, you have given us so many nuggets of gold. What are your parting thoughts that will help job seekers with regard to LinkedIn features?
I think get involved, start communicating, right? Either provide content or make comments, but do them in the sense that you're cultivating conversations that you can move into the real world. And that is the essence of what you're going to get from LinkedIn, the best stuff.
Yeah, wonderful. And be visible on LinkedIn and think about sharing your thought leadership. Everybody has an area of expertise, and some people feel a little bit shy about sharing a post or sharing an image or giving their opinion, but turn up on LinkedIn, make it an active profile rather than just a static profile. It's not just a resume. And you'll find that you'll use LinkedIn so much more strongly, and it'll benefit you as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And I'll be ending the stream now. And so we'll see you next time. Oh, just to let you know, on Wednesday, I'll be talking about career clarity as well. So you can join me again if you wish. Okay. Bye now, everyone.